Dear students, today the topic of our lesson is Everyone Sang. It's a poem written by Siegfried Sassoon. The learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to improve their vocabulary, to explain the poem stanza by stanza, to answer the questions, and to summarize the whole poem. First, I am reading the poem. Everyone suddenly burst out singing, and I was filled with such delight. As prison birds must find in freedom, winging wildly across the white orchards and dark green fields, on and out of sight. Everyone's voice was suddenly lifted, and beauty came like the setting sun. My heart was shaken with tears, and horror drifted away. Oh, but everyone was a bird, and the song was wordless. The singing will never be done. Word meanings. Burst out means begin something suddenly. Delight, joy, present, kept in prison. Winging, traveling on wings or flying. Wildly, excitedly. Orchards, an area of land where fruit trees are grown. Out of sight, not visible. Lifted, raised to a higher position or level. Setting sun, the sun sinking below the horizon in the evening. Horror, an intense feeling of fear or shock. Drifted away, moved away from something slowly. Wordless, not expressed in words. Now, explanation of the poem stanza by stanza. Stanza 1. Everyone suddenly burst out singing, and I was filled with such delight. As prisoned birds must find in freedom, winging wildly across the white orchards and dark green fields, on and out of sight. The speaker of the poem hears everyone around suddenly burst into song, and the sound of singing fills him with joy. Here, the poet compares his delight with the joy of those birds which have been suddenly let free from prison. This delight is related to a feeling of relief, and free birds are allowed to fly away in the directions they like. They fly over beautiful orchards and green fields. After long flights, they are out of sight. Stanza 2. Everyone's voice was suddenly lifted, and beauty came like the setting sun. My heart was shaken with tears, and horror drifted away. Oh, but everyone was a bird, and the song was wordless. The singing will never be done. Explanation. Everyone's song regarding the end of the First World War suddenly raised, and Sassoon uses here conventional imagery of the beautiful sun. The voice of everyone singing is compared to the beauty of the sunset. The poet felt the joy from the core of his heart. The soldiers got rid of the extreme fear of war. Everyone felt like a free bird. This song of happiness could not be expressed in words. Such ecstatic singing will never be done again. Questions and answers. Question 1. Where do you think the people in the poem are? Answer. The people in the poem are in a war zone, probably in a trench. Question 2. What comparison does the poet make in the first stanza? Answer. In the first stanza, the poet compares his delight with the joy of those birds which have suddenly been let free from prison. Question 3. How did beauty come? Answer. Beauty came like the setting sun. Question 4. What did the poet feel when he heard the singing? Answer: when he heard the singing, the poet felt so delighted that his heart was shaken with tears. Question 5. What feeling left the poet when he heard the singing? Answer: the feeling of the horror of the war left the poet when he heard the singing. Question 6. Which words and phrases does the poet use to get across the idea that the birds are actually free? Answer: the words and phrases the poet uses to get across the idea that the birds are actually free are winging wildly across the white, orchards and dark fields, and on and out of sight. Question 7. How might the soldiers have felt before the singing started? What was their condition like at the time, and how would this have affected how they felt? Answer: they might have felt dejected and sad. They were in horrible conditions because the soldiers endured constant bombardment and the lack of cleanliness, sleep, and supplies. The summary of the poem. Everyone Sang is a beautiful short poem composed by a soldier named Siegfried Sassoon to express his joy when the First World War is over. This poem describes the soldiers' reactions to the armistice. As in the first stanza, the poet compares his joy with the joy of those birds who have been suddenly let free from prison. As a matter of fact, the war is just like a prison. The war comes to an end, so everyone is celebrating the end of the war. Everyone feels relief and ecstasy and is overjoyed at this historical moment of happiness from the bottom of their heart. Every soldier is happy. Everyone is singing and dancing. At last, the poet expresses his joy by saying that this kind of joy will never be felt again. Dear students, this is the end of the lesson. I did my level best to explain the words' meanings, explain the whole poem stanza-wise, and answer all the questions, and then at the end I summarize it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.